Here in East County and in Centennial, we have more than 53 languages spoken in the district, and we have a wide range of diversity. Being able to partner with REAP has been great because what they've been able to do is bring in staff members of different backgrounds and ethnicities into our buildings that are able to make positive connections with our students.
We have not had any educators of color until this year, and that has been huge because we know educational outcomes are impacted by having educators of color, working alongside us.
The research shows us that having a teacher of color or an educator of color in your building immediately impacts student achievement for all students, not just students of color. REAP has come in and brought restorative justice practices, and they work collaboratively with our principals to implement those restorative justice practices.
We can interrupt the school to prison pipeline with restorative practice, being very intentional and understanding that our children of color are communicating with us and not trying to upset us, but to have unmet needs.
We've seen a discipline disparity drop this year with the pilot that we've been working through with the REAP model at Oliver and Park Lane, as well as at our high school.
Out of school suspensions have decreased dramatically. Last year we had about 75 out of school suspensions and in-school suspensions and bus suspensions combined, and this year we've had less than 5.
So I would say that the professional development that REAP have offered our staff has been excellent because the teachers have been able to take what they've learned and apply it immediately to their classroom.
I think the training really helped me be more mindful about not necessarily calling students out in front of the entire class, but kind of pulling them aside and approaching it more like, hey, the undesirable behavior and the impact that it has versus, no, that's terrible, you have a detention.
Like, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm like, yes, I can go to REAP, I can vent this out, I can talk about what I need to talk about because my friends or so-called peers don't always support what you're saying or understand what you're saying at all, so they always take it to a negative side or point of view. And I feel like without REAP at school, that just makes it chaotic and there starts fights and arguments and doesn't help. But REAP gives us a voice.
So the trainings that we've received on both restorative practice and trauma-informed care have really helped shift the way that teachers and students are interacting, as well as students to students. So I would say that we began with a little bit of knowledge, and then it's really grown. The overall value for us as a staff, I feel like REAP have been incredibly responsive to the needs of our specific community. The people who work for REAP have really been able to give us different perspectives, show us ideas about ways we would communicate differently than we have in the past. And the relationships that they've built with them have been unbelievable. So we very much appreciate them.
I would definitely recommend REAP to other students just because of how it's personally impacted me in just a year. I mean, if they got the program into elementary schools and middle schools, that definitely would have helped me.
I feel like with REAP's presence working with us side by side, we've become much more restorative in how we teach children about their mistakes they make with their behavior. Also, REAP has shifted the focus to the strengths the child has, and their whole approach is showing us as the educators working with the children and the children themselves, they're leaders, and so we're seeing our kids grow because they're being heard and empowered, and from the inside out their best selves are being brought forward.
Each student learns differently, and you've got to take into consideration where they come from and their background and how that impacts their learning and their communication skills, and it just helps foster really good relationships with your students.
This survey was important so we can understand students' perceptions and attitude. With that information, we can implement changes that meet those students' needs. I think the survey was given in a manner that allowed students to share how can we better support our students of color, and also notice where those gaps may exist with some of the responses that are taking place. And the survey helps us get more information on how to move the work forward around equity and restorative practices here at Parkland Elementary.
I think it was important for David Douglas to be involved in the school climate survey for both students and our administration, because we need to provide more opportunities for our students to have a time and a place to give us honest and authentic feedback about their educational experience.
For me, it has been a great experience. I've learned so many things, not only about myself, but what we as a community in Portland can do to help everyone in the world. I just want to thank everyone here at REAP.
I believe the way the survey was developed gave us some really interesting demographics that maybe we have not considered before, and some true feedback, that anonymous feedback that maybe sometimes students don't feel comfortable saying in a face-to-face situation. I believe the survey will help our administration really dig a little bit deeper into maybe some of the types of professional development and or training and or support that both our teachers, our staff, and our students need in order to make David Douglas a more safe and inclusive environment for all of our students.
This partnership has been very valuable this year. We've learned from it. We've seen a lot of positive relationships between staff and students, as well as REAP and our Centennial staff. Really like to expand our program, so I would say that if there's funding there to put into the REAP program for expansion, we would definitely want to look at that.